Why did saying no make me feel so guilty? I remember sitting with that question after saying no to someone I love. The answer itself wasn't what bothered me. I knew I couldn't say yes, not because I didn't care, not because I didn't want to help, because I knew I couldn't say yes in love. I wanted to get there, I really did, but I wasn't there. And if I couldn't offer my time with love, I knew I needed to say no. What surprised me wasn't the decision, it was everything that came after. Almost immediately, I started explaining why I couldn't, why it wasn't personal, why I wish the answer had been different. I found myself trying to make my no easier for someone else to hear. And somewhere in all of that explaining, I realized something. The guilt had become louder than the reason I said no in the first place. Sometimes guilt shows up even when you've made the right decision. We often think guilt means we've done something wrong. Sometimes it does. Sometimes guilt points us towards something we want to repair, but sometimes guilt simply shows up because our decision disappointed someone. Those aren't the same thing. When someone we love needs help, saying no can feel like we're choosing ourselves over them, even when we know deep down that saying yes would come at a cost we can't afford to pay. That can be a hard tension to hold. The should that keeps us stuck. For me, the hardest part wasn't saying no. It was what I expected of myself afterward. I thought I should be able to get to love. I should be able to shift my attitude. I should be able to want to do it. And when I couldn't, I didn't just feel guilty. I judged myself for not being different. If you've ever found yourself thinking, I should be handling this better, you may also find this blog helpful. Why am I so hard on myself? Because sometimes the struggle isn't just the decision we've made, it's the way we treat ourselves afterward. A loving yes and a resentful yes aren't the same. One of the things I've learned is that not every yes comes from the same place. Sometimes we say yes because we genuinely want to. Sometimes we say yes because we feel responsible. Sometimes we say yes because we're afraid of disappointing someone. And sometimes we say yes while something inside us is quietly saying no. People often think the loving choice is always to help. But I found that a resentful yes doesn't feel very loving to either person. It might meet the need, but it often leaves the relationship carrying something heavier afterward. Explaining doesn't always ease the guilt. I used to think that if I explained my reasons well enough, the guilt would disappear. If they understood, if they knew how much I cared, if they realized this wasn't easy for me, then maybe I'd feel better. Maybe they'd get it. Sometimes an explanation is helpful. Sometimes it's appropriate. But I've also learned that explaining can become a way of asking for permission to have a boundary, as though my no isn't enough on its own. That's a difficult pattern to notice, especially if you've spent much of your life trying not to disappoint people. What helped me see it differently? Over time, I stopped asking, how do I stop feeling guilty? And started asking, what is this guilt trying to tell me? Sometimes it told me I needed to make something right. Sometimes it reminded me that I care deeply about the people in my life. And sometimes it simply reminded me that disappointing someone I love is uncomfortable. Not wrong, just uncomfortable. Those are very different things. You can still care deeply and still say no. One of the most freeing realizations I've had is that caring about someone and having the capacity to help them aren't always the same thing. You can love someone, want good things for them, wish their circumstances were different, and still not have what it takes to say yes in that moment. Those truths can exist together. If this is where you are right now, trying to hold love for someone else while also being honest about your own limits, you don't have to carry that tension by yourself. Sometimes simply saying it out loud helps separate guilt from responsibility. A place to talk it through. At Hold, we offer a calm, confidential space where you can untangle the decisions that stay with you without interruption, judgment, or advice. Sometimes what brings people relief isn't someone telling you what you should have done. It's having the space to hear yourself more clearly. If you're not ready for that, you're welcome to explore the other blogs here. You can find a list of all the titles here. Sending you kindness as you find your way.